In January 2014, a heatwave set upon South Australia. Hot weather, winds and dry paddocks created catastrophic fire conditions in South Australia. The Eden Valley Fire in the eastern Mount Lofty Ranges burnt over 24,000 hectares of farmland, with property and stock losses in the millions of dollars. The properties of Greg Cock of McCoulter and Jason and Kirsty Treloar of Cainton lay in the fire path and were badly burnt.
The 2,000 acres that I have here, approximately 12 to 1,300 acres of that was completely burnt out, plus the fencing that goes with it. I was fortunate, I didn't lose any livestock.
We leased 1,600 acres off my father, and this was burnt out during the fire.
We run 1,000 ewes or 1,000 stock on here. We lost 1,600 acres in total through here and 520 ewes, and we lost 24 k's of fencing during the fire. All up, we've still got 300 odd ewes left out of it. But yeah, so virtually our entire property's gone for 1,600 acres of it. So.
As you can see out here, the area where the fire burnt, both on Jason and Greg's place, is extremely rugged terrain and very difficult to access. Therefore, there is no cropping in these areas. The majority of the pastures out here are based on native pastures, and they are crucial to the management systems for both of these properties.
65 to 70% of the property is native grasses and hills grazing, and so it's extremely important to me how I manage that for the longer term.
3 days after the fires, Greg and Jason noticed that some of their native plants were already reshooting. These included wallaby grass, spear grass and kangaroo grass. These were kick-started with some fabulous rains that we had in early February, and the strategies that Greg and Jason adopted in order to allow their native pastures to recover.
Although our whole 1,600 acres were burnt, it's like the fire burnt in different intensities around the place. Sort of some spots have come back really well, other spots have come back little bits, and then there's spots there where hardly anything come back. We've got geranium and stuff, but that's about it, that's covered the ground. So I'd say 50% of the place is coming back reasonably, and then the other 50 is sort of, yeah, it's getting there, but it's very slow and we're not sure what's going to happen.
So for me it was about protecting them for the longer term. So yeah, all the sheep went into the feedlot. Even after we had significant rainfalls in February and very tempting to put stock back out in the paddocks, they still remained in the feedlot right through until about a week before they started lambing. So I gave the native grasses every possible opportunity to try and recover.
The way the fire's gone through, we can't do anything more to help generate it except destock it and hope the natives will take off again. If we get decent springs and stuff, it should grow, and we look after it fairly well and run it a bit lighter. We've just been very lucky that we've got adjustment out there. We've got a long-term adjustment for 2 years. We've got some down at Nildotty, some over at Springton, and that's going to aid in our recovery hopefully.
Both farmers are looking at an 18-month to 2-year recovery process, but they are using this time wisely with the help of aid and insurance money to make changes to their property.
So I used it as an opportunity to assess, and we did some fencing that was extra to what was originally there before the fires.
Well, we've had to re-fence the whole place, so during that process we've taken the opportunity to change fence lines where they've been, fence off sort of areas which we might put into tree lines and watercourses and bits and pieces like that.
Even though a lot of it isn't arable, there were some spots where I could sow feed, just purely to try and get some bulk of feed for the sheep, because I was anticipating the dry matter of the native pastures to be down in the coming year. We'll
try to do a few trial sites and bits and pieces and just see what happens from there. But it's a matter of, I think, just giving it time. Natives take time to grow, and that's our biggest problem, is having the time but still having an income too. So you've got to rest your land but earn something as well from it.
Jason and Greg have both seen the weed geranium dominate their pastures since the fire, but it's not all that bad.
But in this particular circumstance, it wasn't all bad because it provided cover on the paddocks, which was good from an erosion point of view.
Since the fire, our life has changed the way every day we do things. With having no stock at home, we travel to the adjusted blocks every week. I do probably a day and a half to 2 days on the road, just checking the stock. And Jason's doing a lot of more off-farm work to generate an income that we've lost during the fire seasons.
Both Jason and Greg have also received funding from the SA Murray-Darling Basin NRM Board and the Adelaide and Mount Lofty NRM Board to fence to land class, fence around water points and plant trees.
About 3 weeks after the fire, we had the NRM Board set up like a meeting really, where all the local farmers came and looked at the area that got burnt out. They had a few people there that talked about native grasses and recoveries and different things we could get, like grants and a few others, and it was just a good day for all the farms to get together, have a barbecue, a few drinks, and just chat about things really, just to see where we're all at and how everyone was getting on. And we've had 2 of those.
It's hard to get some good advice on grazing those native pastures, but I have done some of that work in the past, and it's definitely emphasised the fact that I need to do more of that. It's just so important because I cannot come out in this country and sow feed. I have to work with what I've got, and so I want to try and make the maximum and get the best out of that.
Native pastures to us is just property virtually. Without them we wouldn't be stocking it. So for us, we need to find the best way of getting our native pastures back, and if that's not running stock on it for a while, that's how we're going to have to do it, because without them we can't run stock anyway.
This place is just run on native pastures, and the terrain is just beautiful like that, so we want to see it getting back to the way it was, and hopefully with a bit of knowledge and a bit of time it will be back to how it was back when we grew up here.
All better.
Thank you to Greg, Jason and Kirsty for sharing their stories with us and helping us to learn about local native pastures. If you'd like to find out more about the Barossa Improved Grazing Group and the projects that we're involved with, please check out our website.